lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are premiering. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out, or shout outs to Abraham Mohammed, who's a new Patreon. Nice to have you here. Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvault, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Fireball X, Felix Hung, God Rockin', Jeranism, Joshua, Kirsten, Life is Short, Matt, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Renee, Sally Ballis, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker, and Tom Hawkins. Massive thanks to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we do have a few people in both Discord and G+ Hangouts, so I'll raise the mic on all of them and say hello. Hopefully we'll have some chit chat before we go live in about 20 minutes time.
Morning.
Morning.
So much for that chit chat.
That's okay. It's this particular pre-show is going to be going out on the Nathan Oakley channel, and I've said it many times. The audience is a lot more forgiving. Plus, it's at the early parts of the show. On a Thursday, on the second show on a Thursday, and on a Friday for both of them, I'm really apprehensive about just starting in case I catch something good, because it's going out on the main channel, and there's like 15,000 subscribers that will just tune out immediately if it starts with dead air. But on this show, I'm not too. It's a Wednesday, you know. It's probably the most relaxed day of all of them, if I'm honest. Yeah, no pressure to chit chat. I don't mind if there's dead air.
Oh, I was on mute. I'm off mute now. So, Righteous, has it been hard moderating the server?
If it's been hard?
You got anyone else with you, especially in the after show time?
Not really. I'm looking to get one more. But no, it's pretty chill for me. It's because I'm pretty neutral, right? So people don't give me trouble.
Well, you sort of stay really calm, which is very interesting. I mean, which is nice because, yeah, you don't seem to get like really upset about anything, which is helpful. Yeah, that's certainly a character trait needed in a moderator.
Thanks.
Yeah, I wish I had his patience.
What's up, Matthias?
Yeah, you need some of that slow to anger kind of thing. It's hard, but the way I've been looking at it is that we're really at the tail end of this particular situation. Not to say that Flat Earth is dying or going anywhere, but the people that are kind of left, so to speak, that the Globers, there's new people coming in and all that, but the Globers that are like the super diehard ones, like, yeah, Zanuck and all that. So they're bound to all get all of us really riled up. We shouldn't.
Yeah, I think you're right. The people we deal with are zealots. They're at the extreme end.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have. I mean, like you say, the normies and all that. Yeah, there'll be not a trickle. I mean, there'll be I would say, a steady stream of normies, quote unquote normies, who are picking up on this and coming in. But I think the mass of normies have sort of gone on to whatever the next thing is, whether it's Trump or impeachment or North Korea or Iran or aliens.
Hey, 10th man. Hey, QE.
Good morning.
Morning, 10th. And
Hey,
Kiwi.
Righteous. Huey, good morning. Righteous, good morning. Love it. That Zimbabwe sound.
Show yesterday.
Say that again?
I was talking to QE. He had a show yesterday, a live show. It was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, I like that little question you put into chat the other day that nobody answered. Nathan, do you recall? It had to do with Antarctica.
No. What was the question?
It was pretty good. No one volunteered. You said, how does a 24-hour sun prove the globe?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was because of Trish Blythe. So she mentioned in one of the live streams that she was swaying towards the ball. I was like, all right, well, what is it exactly that sways you towards the ball? And she was like, well, 24-hour sun in Antarctica would destroy flat Earth. Like, how does this work? Explain this to me. She didn't. But at some point I pointed out that that was sort of the last hurrah of JLB. So he held on to that formal logical fallacy for quite some time. But I never got chance for her to make her actual claim in regards to 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And for the demolition, it didn't make any difference whether or not there was 24-hour sun in Antarctica or not. It made sod all difference to my argument, but I just didn't get a chance to actually make it.
Yes. That's exactly what I saw in the question, and I was just waiting for. I didn't know you addressed it to her, but no one answered it, so I was just waiting. So that's why I brought it up today.
Right.
There was a big brouhaha in Betty's server, in the Discord server yesterday, between Anthony and Trish.
So I hear. I started recording after that little bit.
No, this was later on in the afternoon.
What I meant was it was discussed by some of the panel members today, but intentionally I started recording after that subject got rounded out, just because it's a bit off topic from what I gather.
Yeah, it was a little bit off topic there. Well, I think I stoked the fire. Indirectly. I didn't do it purposely. I just made a comment about what would motivate somebody to dox another person besides having, absolutely no argument and having their fairy tale religion pummeled. Right? I said I never felt, even in the slightest, to go after a stranger I don't know and try to dox them, right?
Right.
Pictures from Facebook or trying to, come up with their background. And I think that's what started it, right? So
I completely
like
agree.
I said, I didn't mean to. I was just trying to understand the mentality of a friggin' crayon muncher to do something like that, because they've done it to me. I don't really care that much, but it's so pathetic, and it's a tell for no argument and your fairy tale religion getting pummeled. So keep trying to dox, clowns.
Yeah, it's a way of saying I've lost, therefore I'll try and scare you off, basically. Look, I know who you are. But for me, this is going back 4 years, but I tried to highlight to my audience the weaknesses that befall you if you are a faceless, nameless troll. So I think I did a couple of videos in a series. I think I call it something like Flat Earth and Other Faceless Potatoes. And it was about basically the weaknesses of trolls and where using your name has its advantages, not using your name has its advantages, and vice versa in both instances.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. With everyone was asking if QE was a dietitian. that went on for like almost half an hour, at least 20 minutes. It was quite hilarious.
Yeah, Nick Al, or Nick No Longer Al, whatever he was called, he made that up, or at the very least perpetuated it. He was the first person I saw to note
he's
it.
a little stalker.
Yeah.
Mr. Ribeye dietitian, are you kidding?
But it doesn't matter. It's a genetic fallacy. That's why it's unimportant, you know, to me at least, to dock somebody, to know the identity of, let's use someone else, Tim Osman. Couldn't care less. It doesn't make any difference to his arguments. If I know his identity, where he lives, what he does, who cares? Doesn't make any difference. Just take him apart based on his arguments. Likewise, you know, if somebody with a back history of deception and fraud and swindling comes up with a good argument, it makes sod all difference of their back history if they've got a good cogent argument. Literally, it makes no difference. Now, that might blow some people's minds. They're like, hold on, surely they're not credible. Well, no, they're not credible as an individual, but it doesn't change that they make a coherent argument. Likewise, somebody's background in any particular area doesn't instantaneously make them right if they speak on that subject.
Well said.
Well, that's why it's called a debate show. We debate positions, arguments, points of view. It's not a personal thing.
It's one of the logical fallacies that gets detailed so often. The ad hominem at the man fallacy. Rather than attacking the argument, you attack the man. Attack his credentials, history, past mistakes, etc., etc. Often with a credit to Paula, I was going to say knowledge scavenger, it's Bible literalist, but Paula pointed out the other, what she calls majoring on the minors. So you make a minor error in your delivery of calling, say, a non-inertial spinning reference frame the inertial spinning reference frame by accident during swift back and forth debate, and somebody focuses intently on that single detail solely to discredit your entire argument. It's called majoring on the minors. Did you see the little video Anthony released?
I did not. When did he release it?
Last night. I don't know,
Yeah,
9
newscast.
hours ago.
The one with the newscast?
Newscast, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
I shared that
Subject?
with him. I shared it with him. It was Neil, I don't know how to say his name, I think it's Neil H. I can never pronounce his surname, I'm not even going to try and butcher it. But I shared it with him and I was like, watch at 1 minute 45. No reply, nothing, literally. And then about 3 hours later, I saw he released the section I'd shared with him. So this morning I got in touch and I was like, Did you publish this because I'd shared it with you? And then he sent me a recording. Yeah. It was because of you sharing it with me. And I was like, oh, thanks for the mention. Literally not even a reply to the message where I sent it to him. Not even an
no replies. From messages on Skype. Oh my God! He should be flogged. You would never do that.
Me, absolutely. I read every message and respond instantly. I'm a very good liar. Yeah, but it wasn't the fact that he hadn't responded. That's fair enough. But it'd seen what I'd shared, read, contemplated it, and then chunked it out and stuck it on his channel with the title something like "Up Yours, Ballers," obviously political, which it is. But it's just funny when you've got to get to the point where you've got to find a, MSM or whoever it was, frontman to say this could become a political issue. It's like, all right, so what, you're going to say it's not going to be political unless it's a political issue now. It's like, how far do you want to stretch this out? It can't become a political issue unless it's political.
Yeah, they were arguing in Discord. They're arguing in Discord yesterday about how Anthony's paper, or the concept behind Anthony's paper, wasn't political. I'm sitting here, are you people on drugs? Right? The education system is dictated by the party in charge. Duh. The teachers are merely parroting the dictate. That's all they're doing. It's not the teacher's fault in most cases.
In most cases, right. Some are acutely aware, but still teach it anyway.
Right. But the point is, it's political. If the government is running the education system and the government is populated by politicians, you know, you need to get off the fluoride drip, people, and move away from the power lines. This is self-evident. Duh. Okay. My word. If you got problems with that, I would ditch the shape of the earth, because you need to be institutionalized pronto.
You haven't been on right. These people before now have had an issue with the word "and." Political's a bit of a stretch for them, if I'm honest. Not comprehending political when they can't contextualize the conjoining word.
Speaking of words, the back and forth yesterday in chat on mass, mole, inertia, all of these things. I went to the dictionary, look up each one, and if words mean things, we got some issues here.
I don't think it's an issue. Inertia's not a thing.
Yeah, but then it is a thing.
It's part of the definition of mass. If you're being put on the spot and being told to give you a definition, suddenly inertia becomes a thing. It's a derivative, apparently.
Yeah. But it's also set aside as something inert, lazy, slothful, not moving. I mean, they got so many different things for inert and inertia. Which context are they talking about it, and why do you attach it to mass?
Summed up with Brenda, by me, and by Quantum Eraser. And then it was swiftly declared by Brenda that there was no rebuttal given but a hand wave, when it was described quite accurately by both of us as a fallacy. She ignored the rebuttal entirely. It doesn't matter how many times you say equivocation fallacy, it won't make any difference. That's a hand wave, that is. What, the devastating rebuttal? That's not a hand wave.
Is that a nuh-uh? You're just a denier. You don't understand.
I'm going through a tunnel. I'm losing. Signal's going to be So the way you define inertia is, it's definitely the... And you've got nothing to rebut me on that.
Did you intentionally stop during that little sentence there?
Yeah, I was demonstrating what they do when they pretend that they've got a 1989 analog phone going through a tunnel.
Yeah. Dog ate my homework. Cat pissed on the floor. I tugged on Superman's cape. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, super fast fibre optic broadband. No. Dial up when it comes to arguing for the globe.
Yeah, they're getting trounced, man. And if anyone comes in here, newbie, and just sits back and listens to these knucklehead globers, I mean, it's a landslide. There's a lot of people converting over to flat earth people. So keep on with your shows. We love it.
Yeah, we're just talking earlier that I think the globers that are kind of left are sort of like the really hardcore, die-hard ones, whereas those who believe it's a globe, they just go on with their lives and just move on, and they don't care.
Yeah, normies versus fundies.
But
Yeah, I guess you can say that, yeah.
Seems like the majority of the ones that are left, the hardcore ones, are all atheists. And they even admit it.
Yeah, it seems to be some people with a lot to lose. So yeah, maybe they have to face the fact that there is a creator right above us, or they have to face that their profession and their investment for decades in their education is, a lot of it's been a lie. So yeah, it's hard.
Hard if you're a shit, because creator means judgment, and people with a lot of skeletons in their closet, they don't want that. They want to keep their dark, horrible, nasty lives well and truly away from anybody judging it.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I think for most people when they face this flat Earth stuff, is like Mark Sargent always says, isn't it? Like, if you know someone's watching you, would you still run the red light? Now imagine all the bad things you've done, and it's not just a free fall. It's not moral relativism. It's hard. Now you're going to face that. You're gonna want to hold on to the ball and space.
Speaking of red lights and traffic lights, I'll tell you what. If we ever fall into anarchy here, I sure hate it for the traffic lights, because that's the first thing I'm going after.
Why? They keep order. But they slow you down.
So if they had like in the movie The Purge, the first thing you do is just go and run all the red lights. You wouldn't bother about the mobs or the violence. You just run red lights all day, all night.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Quantum Eraser, Righteous Force, and 10th Man in G+. Very good to have you.
Hello, hello.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. We're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord. Hello, one and all.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Any signs of Earth curvature? Don't all go at once.
Not in Mississippi.
Not in Connecticut.
Not in Dubai. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
None at all.
It's amazing, really.
Not in Winslow, Arizona.
We have this effect that would easily demonstrate that the Earth was turning called Coriolis effect. We would expect to see some of this Coriolis effect. We'd expect to see a lot of this Coriolis effect on things like drones, helicopters, aeroplanes, all those sorts of things. So this effect, called Coriolis effect, should really prove Earth spinning. And yet it doesn't. It's amazing, really.
I think it's selective like gravity.
What, made up? No, Coriolis is real. It's definitely an effect you can observe. The not actual deviation of a drone as you rotate on a roundabout beneath it. If it's hovering and you're rotating beneath it, it'll look like it's flying towards you and flying away from you, even though it isn't. Well, that's Coriolis deviation. A not actual force, because it's not actually flying towards you when you're on a roundabout, you're moving. Well, the same principle would easily demonstrate Earth was spinning if it was. It's claimed by fundy globeheads that that's precisely what proves Earth spinning. Yet we just don't see any of this effect on helicopters, drones, anything beyond a 2-second hang time as they assert it, as Neil deGrasse Tyson does with things like footballs when kicked. Apparently Earth's rotating underneath them. But yeah, it doesn't rotate underneath drones and helicopters or basically anything, it seems. Hey, Owen.
Hello.
Yeah, but Nathan, you got to realize the Earth is rotating west to east in the globe model, but the only time you're going to see Coriolis in any way is north-south at the different speed lines as the speed decreases as you go towards the poles. Come on now.
Well, when you talk about the speed decreasing, the not actual deviation is observed if you're standing on the non-inertial reference frame or sitting on the roundabout as I described it with the drone earlier. So when you say if you're travelling north to south, what exactly do you mean when the observation of this deviation is from the spinning reference frame? I don't really follow.
Well, this is where their west to east argument meets their north to south nonsense. They're saying the Earth is spinning or rotating, whichever way they like it, west to east. Okay, well, that means the whole Earth, north, south, middle, equator, every part of this model of theirs. But you can't experience Coriolis west to east like you can if you go north-south, according to them. And the argument is when you go from 1,038-mile latitude of the equator and you go low north, now it's only 1,000 miles per hour at this point. And that 38-mile difference, that's where you're going to experience the Coriolis, because there's a 38-mile difference of location.
But again, you're describing the projectile or whatever that travels through the inertial reference frame in your description. Well, there is no observation of Coriolis deviation or otherwise when you're in the inertial reference frame travelling on a plane, for example. The observation of Coriolis deviation takes place on the non-inertial spinning reference frame. So this claim that it only occurs when travelling fundamentally is a demonstration of people who don't understand Coriolis effect, because it doesn't happen. You don't observe it whilst travelling through the inertial reference frame. It's observed from the spinning frame, like on my roundabout with a drone hovering over it. You see the drone seeming to come towards you. That's the effect. Not the drone sitting there doing nothing, hovering. It's not having to account for anything. It's just hovering.
Yeah, but Zanuck has this pretend couch or bench where the man is sitting watching all this, and he sees it differently.
Well, he would just see the drone hovering. There's no deviation to account for if you're sat in the inertial reference frame observing a drone that's hovering over a roundabout. You just see a drone hovering over a roundabout. However, if you're sat on the roundabout in the non-inertial spinning reference frame or on it, then you'll observe the drone seeming like it's flying towards you. That's the effect. So if he's describing something from a park bench in the inertial reference frame, well, that's not where you observe Coriolis effect. So he clearly doesn't understand what it is or how it works. That's just obvious. We've always known Zanuck doesn't know anything. He has to go to physics forums with our very troubling questions that he says we don't understand the premises thereof. We do. He just has to go and double check with physics forums for middle school students how to answer our troubling questions in regards to things like reference frames, which he clearly doesn't understand if he's detailing it from a park bench.
What about a cat that's observing the man on the park bench who's observing the drone flying over the rotating reference frame?
What about the cat? Will the cat observe Coriolis? Is that the question?
That's about as makes as much sense as their stupid argument.
Well, wait a minute. Tim Osmond
got something even better than that.
How fast is the roundabout turning?
It doesn't matter. See, the quality rather than quantity of deviation is what you're looking for. So it doesn't matter if it's 1/1,000,000th of 1 centimetre because the roundabout's turning very, very slowly. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
have better proof of Earth-based Coriolis than that. Anybody want to hear it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to use a tall building as an example. Let's think of a skyscraper. So if you're at the top of that skyscraper and you're on a rotating sphere, with elevation, your speed of rotation increases. So if you're in the and can you hear me? I think I just dropped off for a second.
Yeah, you did for a second.
You're cutting out.
If you're in what?
All right, let me start all over again.
Okay.
I'm going to use a skyscraper as an example.
Yeah, we're up higher. We're going faster with you so far.
Yeah, you're up higher and you're going faster. So if you take a ball and you drop it from the top of that skyscraper, it's going to follow a curved path. And this is because it's encountering an area of slower rotation, which is causing it to deviate as it goes down.
Have you done this test yourself?
Hold on. Okay, is that the end, Babs?
That's the end, and no, I haven't done the test.
No, that's okay. So you're talking about something that might stay in the air for 5 seconds, right?
Probably longer than that, just depending on how tall the building is.
10 seconds?
Yeah.
How long do you
Let's say 10.
How long do you think a drone can stay in the air?
As long as it wants to, or as long as the battery allows it to.
Half an hour?
Yeah, probably.
So if the Earth's rotating underneath at a greater rate...
Based on no
oh,
wind.
my bad. I didn't realise I was in the middle of a conversation. Go ahead, Highlander.
I was just asking, I take it these examples from both sides are based on no wind.
No, I hadn't quite finished my example. So, given that your example, Babs, would be that you see a mild deviation on account of the fact there is a difference in circumference when you decrease your altitude, i.e. drop a ball off a skyscraper. Therefore, a mild deviation would be observed because the Earth rotates underneath at a different rate as you drop it. Well, I would suggest that, given that a drone can stay in the air for about half an hour, you'd see a lot more Earth rotating underneath it if Earth was rotating underneath it. Would you not agree?
I do agree, yeah.
So these little hang time examples of 5-10 seconds, or a bullet, couple of seconds, or a football, 2 or 3 seconds, they're just ways of introducing this effect that isn't demonstrated in things that have an exponentially longer hang time. It's just they're crappy examples. Why not use an example that's in the air for a long time that shows massive amounts of deviation? Oh, I know, because you'd have reduced flight times when travelling west. Different. Well, you just have reduced flight times. If Earth's rotating underneath, then you travel, as in QE's example, from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, normally about 4.5 hour flight time. Well, that would take an hour and a half because Earth rotated underneath, because it's got a nice long hang time to see that effect that's causing the ball to slightly drift in your example. Well, it wouldn't be a slight drift. It would be the continent or country or place that you're travelling to in the west coming towards you if you're travelling towards it. Really obvious. The problem being that doesn't happen. But the examples we get given have these very short hang times, and then when it comes to there being something with a long hang time, they go, well, that's got a motor on it. Like a drone on a roundabout that I exampled earlier coming towards you and going away, because it's hovering over a roundabout. That motor makes no difference to whether or not it seems to fly towards you and seems to fly away as it hovers over a roundabout. The motor makes no difference. But that's the Fundy Globehead argument. Oh, that's got a long hang time and should have massive amounts of claimed deviation when watching it from the ground. But also, because of the claimed deviation, it should be reducing its travel time, but doesn't. Oh, it's got a motor. That's their best get out. Even though it makes no difference. Like I say, drone on a roundabout, it's not going to not have Coriolis. It's not going to track with the roundabout just because it's got a motor. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Highlander?
Yeah. To answer Highlander's question about whether atmosphere is involved or not, you could drop that ball through an elevator shaft in that building just to make sure that there's no winds that are affecting it. And with a drone, you have to take into consideration that the atmosphere is rotating as well. And the drone is also maintaining tangential velocity.
That's a very interesting point. So when they drop the feather and the bowling ball, it should be deviating, right?
That is an excellent point, yeah. And we don't see that happen.
That's interesting. That's because Earth's not spinning.
Yeah, that's because Earth is not spinning. And probably because the bowling ball and the feather are not dropped from high enough for you to notice anything.
Nah. What about a drone? That hovers for a while. Seems to come back down in exactly the same spot, though. So weird, that, isn't it? You'd think Earth would be turning underneath for half an hour, and yet it comes down where it took off from. Even with wind half the time.
It does, but Earth's atmosphere is rotating, and the drone is also maintaining tangential velocity.
That's
why it's staying in the same.
Yeah, it's not the case, though. Neil deGrasse Tyson, high priest of scientism, asserts that you kick a ball from the ground and it leaves the non-inertial spinning reference frame and demonstrates Coriolis as you're asserting should be demonstrated with a ball when dropped. So no, it's nothing to do with Earth and atmosphere travelling as one. Otherwise Neil deGrasse Tyson's example simply wouldn't work. But he still declared it via Twitter because he thinks Earth does spin underneath.
And can he please explain how gases rotate with a solid body? Thanks.
Was that one for me?
Yeah.
Gravity.
It's gravity.
That's how it's
Sorry. No. Let's just nip that in the bud. So no. The bending of a conceptual medium to give rise to a non-force, force that you can think of as a force but is not actually a force called gravity, isn't going to defy how gas behaves.
Gases aren't attached to themselves. Gases aren't attached to themselves, making them a gas, let alone being attached to anything else. So how in the world is it spinning with the Earth, please? Moving in random directions at high speeds. Please explain.
I'm just Googling the answer right now because I saw a really good answer for this yesterday.
Really? I can't wait.
Let's see here. Here we go. The pressure of gas is defined as the force.
Hold on, Chocolate. Hey, good to have you. Do you want to start again, Babs?
All right. The pressure of gas is defined as the force the gas would exert upon a surface or a container. However, there is no need for a container for pressure to exist. For instance, the air you're breathing right now, unless you're in an airplane or submarine, has pressure due to the column of atmosphere above you.
Okay, this column, right? What is gas? How does gas behave?
It moves in all directions.
Okay, so it's moving randomly at high speeds in all different directions, but you have a column of air. Isn't that a violation of the law of non-contradiction?
I have a column of air because gravity forms a density gradient.
No. Don't go away from my question.
No. I covered this. Sorry, John. I just covered this. So the bending of a concept, in this case, a medium called space-time, is giving rise to a non-force. Force that you can think of as a force, but is not actually a force, called gravity. Now, bending conceptual mediums doesn't defy gas law. Just to cover that second time. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, but regardless, like I said, you can have both of the Wonder Twin powers activate at full force, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with the argument or my position or the question that I just asked you. Let me state it again. How can you have gases traveling at high speeds in all random directions and at the same time have a column of it above your head? You're holding two mutually exclusive positions at the same time. It's a law of non-contradiction violation. Thanks.
Because of that happens because of gravity. Are you trying to say that
third time?
Oh my
you guys
God.
are trying to,
Third time.
you're trying to contradict Einstein and the
Einstein's
theory of
concept.
relativity?
Einstein's concept. So Einstein's not maintaining gas, and his concept of a medium called space-time doesn't do anything here. Do you understand that? This bending of... Let's pretend that instead of the conceptual medium of space-time, we talk about freedom. And I rebut John's claim by saying, but if I bend freedom, gas law no longer applies. Well, no, you can't bend freedom, and you can't bend space-time. These things are concepts. They're not going to stop gas doing what it does.
But can't you just bend
What
the
causes-
natural law a little?
We're off topic.
What
That's the
causes
third
pressure on the flat Earth?
That's the third time. You haven't addressed his rebuttal. So I'm going to summarise John's rebuttal. He's saying that a column would be homogeneous and the gas is inhomogeneous.
Right, so because the gas is inhomogeneous, a column can't form above us?
No, it's all mixed up.
Why can't...
Not collimated, by definition. Inhomogeneous.
Right, then why is it that when we observe gases...
It's not...
Go on, Babs.
Why is it that when we observe gases in containers, they form gradients? Why does that happen? If they're moving all over the place, why do gradients form within containers?
What in dynamic systems, when there are other forces at play? Yes, you can manipulate gas behavior.
What other forces are at play?
Who cares? It doesn't change the behavior of gas. It doesn't form columns.
Hey Nathan, if you can share my screen, I'm manipulating the motion of particles and reducing the pressure on my little...
Okay, sure. Can you go to the live stream, Babs, so that you can see what I've presented from Paul's screen share? And then when you've got it on screen, just let me know.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
In this mess of inhomogeneous dots, where's the column that you might decide to describe in this inhomogeneous, mixed up bunch of dots? Can you see collimation potentially forming?
No.
But if he opens the top, if you would for me, Paul, you notice how the black section at the top has got quite spread out particles as it fills the available volume. Now, if this was water particles, potentially turning into gas particles and going up to the top, and the puddle at the ground was where the highest concentration of that water was, would you accept that there'd be less at the top than there was at the bottom?
Repeat that again, please.
So if this representation was water, you were looking at a puddle, and it was being heated, would you accept that there'd be more concentration of particles at the bottom, because that's where they're being formed, than there was 30 meters above, where 20 minutes later one particle might reach? Therefore,
I do
radiated.
It depends on whether the gases are being formed at the bottom of that container. if they aren't, then over time, the container would just empty out. But
I see.
If the gases are continuously being formed, then yeah,
I see.
that would happen.
So, of all the gases that are produced here on Earth, how many are produced halfway up in the sky somewhere? Or are they all produced on the ground?
As far as I know, they're all produced on the ground.
Excellent. So akin to my example of them being produced on the ground and thinning out as they go up, that would be a natural and normal and logical explanation for this gradation that you describe, would it not?
Yeah, perhaps you could say that.
Excellent. That's the end of that then. So no columns.
Gas.
Notice we didn't describe columns at any stage.
And you notice too, I don't know if you watched what I was doing. I was reducing the pressure in the container by just reducing the temperature. So you see that? And I increased the temperature, and the pressure increased. As if I apply more pressure, more temperature, even when there's so few particles in there, they start to move out more fast, more rapidly. You see that?
Yeah, that's entropy. But what's the difference between columns and gradients? I know they're two different words, but aren't they similar?
It depends. When you're asserting that a column's pressing down from above, and that's why you don't need a container, as per your citation, then we would point out that no, it's gradiated because the concentration of gases is produced at the ground level. It won't give you a collimation, and it absolutely will still require a container. The V in gas law. PV nRT. No G.
Okay. And the container would have to be solid. It couldn't be a gas container.
You tell me. So if we exclude the walls of this container, how many of these particles are containing the other particles, would you say?
Probably none, but don't the particles lose energy the further they travel? So wouldn't they be slowing down as they go higher up?
Not exactly. So the energy dispersion increases. The overall energy stays the same, but the dispersion of that energy would increase. In terms of entropy is increasing as you're watching it now. So the energy hasn't changed. You're just seeing it become more dispersed into the available volume. Entropy is increasing.
Well, if you notice too, even the...
Hold on a second, Paul. Is he saying that gas molecules stop moving?
I don't. That's good. That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. Are those little tiny balls that we're looking at right now going to be moving at the same speed the further they travel, or do they slow down?
Yeah, they ain't gonna stop. Then it wouldn't be a gas anymore.
Well, and then also, if you watch this,
Are they speeding up?
Well,
if you watch the GIF, there's different particles are moving at different rates, and if you look at the temperature, it's like -263, but the particles are still moving.
Oh, hold on, Paul. That's not the point. I appreciate you saying that it's correct, but that's not the point. Will they stop? No.
They're never going to stop. They're just going to keep moving.
They'll never stop. No. I can't do it when I'm giggling. I can't get the Terminator references out quick enough. There's no reasoning with them. There's no bargaining with them, and they absolutely will not stop.
Right. Okay, so we definitely can't have a column of air above us. That's just not possible.
It's a
violation. That's right, because of the contradiction I mentioned in the beginning. That's right. You also mentioned the theory, Einstein's theory. Is that a scientific theory, by the way?
You tell me.
No.
I'm not telling you. You said theory, Einstein's theory, in relation to gravity. You tell me.
Why don't you guys have Nobel Prizes right now if you're contradicting?
That's a procedural argument
science,
rather than one of substance. Now, can you answer the question?
Define science.
Hold on.
Oh, he's got into character. He's rumpusing you. So the question on the table. Do you want to repeat it, John? Go ahead.
Yes, he mentioned Einstein's theory in relation to gravity. My question was, is that a scientific theory?
Science.
Said science. Say again.
Actually, you know what? Define a scientific theory. Because that's what you're asking for right now.
Rapidly do that, no problem. So scientific theories are based on applications of the scientific method that have been validated through systematic experimentation. So after, it could be one, but typically multiple adherences, if that's the right word, to the scientific method that have been validated. Once you have those empirical validations, you can put together scientific theory. So it's based on valid experiments.
It's hypotheses or a group of related hypotheses that have been validated by systematic experimentation.
That's just for clarity. Just for clarity, sorry. That's a scientific theory, as opposed to a mystic Meg theory.
Okay.
Or a Big
I've
Bang
heard
theory.
of multiple different scientific methods. You're trying to tell me that there's only one scientific method?
That's right. There isn't multiple scientific methods. Like I've been saying for many days now. You have 3 indispensable steps in the scientific method. That is, observe a natural phenomena. That's where you get your dependent variable. Hypothesis. That's where the independent and dependent variable are stated succinctly in a supposition. And then experiment, where you add control or constant variables to that previously mentioned independent-dependent variable supposition in the hypothesis. If it doesn't contain those 3 steps, then it's not the scientific method. Thanks.
Not thanks. So, back to the original question. So, does Einstein have that?
I would say yeah, because he is studying the natural world, and
share my screen.
He's studying gravity, which is a phenomenon in the natural world.
Thank you.
The only difference here is that he's not performing experiments.
You'll have to zoom out.
Okay, we're ready.
Hold on a
we're
second.
ready.
Let's get control. So you'll have to zoom out a little bit. It's a little bit zoomed in for some reason.
Say again.
You zoom out.
Zoom out.
Not a possibility.
Hold the control keyboard and scroll back.
Ah! What's happening? Oh no. This started so well.
Yeah, it did.
Control minus.
Where'd you go?
Looking rough.
Do something about this.
See it properly.
Is it better?
Nah, not really. We can see from the number 1 on the blue writing. Oh well.
John, just hold the control key and press the minus sign.
My word. Let me see where I'm at here. All right. This is a big file. I need to square this away. All right. All right. Natural phenomena. Observe, please.
Can't you zoom out?
What do you mean?
Try again, Righteous.
Natural phenomena observed is objects
hold on
fall
a second.
to the ground.
What's the problem here, Nathan?
Can't see it. It's too zoomed in. You need to zoom out.
On your keyboard, John, hold the control button and then press minus sign.
No, it's not working. Now we're getting it's all screwed up now. So is that good?
No.
Jeez, oh man.
All right, I'll fiddle with
mine.
You
just need to move the chat out of the way.
It's fine. If you can make it bigger again, make it. Just one at a time. make it bigger again.
You've got it there.
Oh God, everybody's going to talk over me. If you can just make it how it was again, bigger, please. Control and then plus. There we go. That's fine. Now we can see everything. Happy days.
That's where it was before.
I made an adjustment. I think technically this is entirely all my fault. But if we can brush past that quickly... Right, so on you go.
I'm on mute.
Natural phenomena observed, please.
Right, so natural phenomena observed is when we pick objects up, they fall down when we let them go.
Okay, objects
because of a force.
Hold on, you've got to give him a couple of seconds to write it down.
Don't bramble. Pick objects up, then fall down, go, boom, boom. Okay? Good. All right. So, this is your dependent variable. So, fall down, go, boom, boom.
Am I allowed to change that? Because I feel like I put myself in a trap by saying that. So I want to change it a little bit.
All right. No problem. Natural phenomena observed, please.
Objects with mass fall to the ground.
I thought I could go get a coffee. Goddamn. What's mass?
If I said I picked it up, you're gonna say that I'm the one that caused it to fall to the ground.
No,
so
that's not what I asked. I just need a definition of something. Sorry to interrupt, John. Just need a definition of this word. I've had a lot of trouble with it over the last few days. What's mass?
Oh no. The mass is the amount of matter within an object.
God damn. That's a mole.
What?
That's a mole.
Yeah, it's not
really?
Yes, that's really a mole. Yes.
Mass is not quantitative. It's an aspect.
Oh, what?
No, it's not.
Hold on, we've got a. I'm gonna go get a coffee. He's dealing with this.
Oh, here, I'm going to help you out. No, but a mole is a specific amount of something, or specific number of something.
Maybe I can help him out. A natural phenomena observed is nah.
That's not really helping right now. Arwin.
Oh.
I'm looking at the definition of mass here, and it says that it's a coherent, typically large body of matter with no defined shape. That's kind of similar to what I just said, right?
It doesn't seem like the scientific.
Where are we going here? I'll tell you what. Let's give him mass. All right. Let's just give it to him. Objects with mass fall down, go boom, boom. All right. What is the independent variable? What is the cause of that?
What is the cause of that? Gravity, the force of gravity.
Okay, so you're trying to prove gravity. What the heck? You're trying to prove gravity, correct?
Correct.
Einstein, and that is what you're using as your proof. Do you understand what a begging the question fallacy is?
I'm assuming the outcome of what this is going to be before knowing what the cause is.
Your conclusion is, contains one of the premises, and your premise is gravity. What's your hypothesis, please?
Hypothesis is that we observe that objects with mass fall to the floor because of a force called gravity.
So gravity causes objects with mass
While you're typing that out, shout out to David Rakia Gafford. He says, I pass, so should this guy. I'm on mute. God is creator. Rakia alive. Very funny. Shout out to David Rakia Gafford. Thanks for the super chat.
Can I ask for clarification on mass?
Oh, we got
clarification on mass.
Yeah. So is the
hold on.
conclusion
Sorry,
that
Dances with Fold. Sorry. Wait. Just we've given it in for now. So I just want this to be concluded before we get back onto mass. If I'm going to have it stolen from me, God damn it, you're not having
it. Okay, here's your hypothesis. You're trying to prove Einsteinian gravity. So gravity causes objects with mass to fall down, go boom, boom, go splash, splash. This is a begging the question fallacy. You haven't done anything yet. What is gravity?
Let me just check. Do you understand
what fictitious force or a pseudo force?
Before you answer his question, do you understand what he means when he says begging the question fallacy in this specific regard? I know you've detailed what one is, but do you understand how this is assuming the outcome? The thing you're trying to prove being gravity and it being your independent variable, akin to me saying, I'm going to prove unicorns by varying the number of unicorns.
I do understand what he means by that. It's that I'm begging the question by assuming the outcome before actually performing any experiments to know what's really causing that to happen.
Well, you can't perform any experiments because gravity is what you're trying to prove, and you can't manipulate a fairy tale unless you can show me some gravity that you can manipulate.
Can't, no.
That's what I thought. And what does this have anything to do with Einsteinian gravity?
I was making the point that if you guys are contradicting mainstream science, why haven't you come up with any theories that can go against
mainstream science is contradicting itself?
We don't have to come up with a substitute theory to pummel theirs, and there is no mainstream science. I think we're done here. Go on with mass. Thanks.
So if we don't come up with alternate theories, that leaves us with nothing. We
alternate theories to
try
what?
and understand
what's
what's
the
going
main
on
one
here.
that we've altered from?
Can you
haven't
repeat that?
given
You're breaking up a little bit.
You haven't given us a theory. Like I said, we don't have to provide a substitute theory, quote unquote, to pummel yours, and you don't have one. So you can move on to mass now, Nathan.
So what's mass? Didn't the dude in
mass?
Sorry, he's on Discord. He's on server mute at the moment. Damn it! Dances with Fools was the guy who wanted to ask questions in that regard. Oh, he can hear us now. Dances with Fools. Did you have something you wanted to say in regards to mass?
Yeah. So the last known definition by Babs was, if I understood it right, is that mass is just another word for stuff. That's a question.
Babs? That's a gap, I'll take it. Shout out to Prince Tactics. If there's another option available to speak to Discord if it's full, I've just moved somebody to the after show. Hopefully they won't just immediately jump back in again, because I'll just move them again because they're not talking. But yeah, I'll just move a few people out into the after show if you want to try now. There should be a couple of gaps. There is a couple of gaps. Thanks for the super chat. Do you want to address that, Babs? Hopefully I haven't stolen your thunder. Dances with Fools.
So the question was, so am I to understand that when Babs, if I'm not mistaken, when they said mass, is that just a different word for stuff or matter?
I'm having some audio issues right now. I'm going to have to get back to you in a sec.
You've missed a
Okay.
step. You missed out. You don't understand.
This is silly. One is just a general terminology in daily use of words, and the other one is actual physics definition. So, is this gonna lead anywhere?
I don't know. We've still got this experiment, but it's going through a tunnel, so we'll have to move on, I think. Once the 1989 connection problem's been solved, just let us know, Babs. Is mass... So there's an open-ended question now from Dances with Fools. Is mass just stuff?
Who's he asking?
Anybody.
No.
Mass is also synonymous to multitude, I think.
I have a question when you guys finish. Sorry to interrupt.
Don't know if that was a satisfactory answer for Dances with Fools. Is mass stuff? No. There you go.
Basically, yeah. It's the amount of matter contained within something.
That'd be a mole.
That's what I said. Mass is the amount of matter.
Is a mole not a specific number, though?
What? The number of stuff in stuff? Yeah, mole.
A mole, but a mole is a specific amount of substance that contains. Yeah, a mole, but mole is the amount of substance, right? It doesn't much matter. It's the same thing, whether it be a specified amount. It's still an amount, right?
So basically, you could use either terminology then.
Well, when you say the amount of stuff in something,
what are you referring to? Are you referring to molecules, atoms? The amount of what substance are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. Let's just settle this right now. From the Royal Society of Chemistry, studies have shown that the amount of substance is often incorrectly identified with mass. So that ends that. Do you have another definition?
I just wanted to know what substance you're referring to.
Doesn't matter.
Does it not matter?
It doesn't matter in the context of our discussion right now. If you want to get specific, it's Avogadro's number of elementary entities, but it still doesn't matter. It's the amount of substance.
Well, maybe it does. So given that you've got this specific number of elementary entities, is there a comparable number for mass as opposed to mole?
Yeah, kilograms.
Do I have to say the definition over again from the Royal Society of Chemistry? I got to repeat that?
But isn't kilograms just a conventional way of measuring weight?
I'm going to go with yes. Yes, please, QE.
Moreover, studies have shown that the amount of substance is often incorrectly, that means it's wrong, identified with mass.
What is mass then? I'd like to know what your definition of mass is.
You're asking me what mass is. I love it. I love it. You just put it into your hypothesis 10 minutes ago. Highlander, did you hear that?
I did, yeah, but I was under the impression that...
Not you, Babs. Not you. Highlander. You asked if it's not just the amount of stuff.
Highlander's not here anymore.
Oh, bummer. Didn't he want an answer? Why did he ask? What the hell?
Okay. Any other question?
We're still on a point. We've got collimated air being held by non-force forces that you can think of as a force called gravity that's a bending of a conceptual medium. And then we've got into this describing mass, presumably so it could be attributed to gravity. That was where Babs was going. I don't know why it's petered out the way it has, but it has.
Well, I was talking to to Virus in chat, and he says an airplane proves that you can have gas pressure next to a vacuum. Literally, he said that.
Wow.
No, what is... it's okay. I don't mind making his argument for him. He clearly doesn't understand his own argument, but he's got pieces of it from somewhere else that he hasn't put together in the correct order. He's talking about a differential. So if he was to formulate his argument with some sort of... What kind of fallacy is it, first of all? It would be a straw man fallacy. So if he was to formulate his straw man fallacy correctly, it'd say, you can create a gas pressure differential underneath the plane wing. There's no container needed. That's the straw man.
I know exactly where he got this argument from.
Let's just unpick it, though.
Argument.
So what we have in the first instance, before the plane does a damn thing, what do we have before anything happens in regards to this differential? Oh, we've got gas pressure to begin with, haven't we? And where did we get that from before we do anything in terms of changing that gas pressure? Oh, we'd definitely need the antecedent of a container first, wouldn't we? So where do we get the gas pressure from in the first instance for you to start pushing wings over it and creating differentials? Where do we get the gas pressure from in the first place? What's that you say, Fundy? Not important? Yeah, it is. Because it's the necessary antecedent to have the gas pressure in the first instance for you to start messing around with it to create differentials.
And the definition of a the definition of a vacuum is a differential pressure. It's little or no substance. If you share my screen, that little box is a vacuum. There's virtually no substance in it.
So
Right.
little or no moles.
Well, his claim is the atmosphere does not need a container, and I asked him to demonstrate it, please, and he can't.
Let me try to demonstrate it for him.
I just
I've
thought of
I've got a
something.
vacuum. Let me see if I can do gas pressure in a vacuum. Here, hang on. Let me see how long this lasts.
Oh, no, it's already failed. We'd need it to stay in the square. Seems
I'd like
but
to
he's
add
a-
something.
he's
I
a
just
fun-
thought of something right now because John
Well, stop
said that.
your... oh, gosh, this guy.
He has tried 2 or 3 times, 10th man. Go on, Babs.
He's had the floor for the last 30 minutes.
That's true.
Yeah, go ahead, 10th man.
No, I want to hear the nonsense. Make me laugh.
Go on, Babs.
Okay, I just thought of something right now. 10th man said that my independent variable was assumed to be gravity, so you can't assume your cause. Is that correct?
You asked
10th man didn't say anything.
Well, I'll just correct.
I was talking to John, not
it's all right.
10th man.
I don't mind who it was. As it wasn't 10th man, I'll just address it. So, no. Number one, your presumed cause, which is a presumption, has to be real. Number two, it has to be capable of being varied and manipulated by you, the researcher. Number three, it is your presumed cause, your independent variable. So it must be real, you've got to be able to manipulate it, and it's your presumed cause. If it fulfills that criteria, then you're all golden. Now, is gravity something that you've got that's physically real, that you can show me you varying and manipulating it by chance?
No, it isn't.
Ah, so it's something you're trying to prove as real, as
However-
opposed to something that is real that you're presuming causes something else. So no, it fails as an independent variable because it's not real. You can't vary it.
But John also said that you can't assume what the cause is without proving it first.
Wrong. I didn't say that. You needed to watch the last science presentation where I went over this exact subject. Right? The independent variable isn't presumed. It should exist. It's the independent variable and its effect on the dependent variable, which is the supposition. You have the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Thanks.
May I example this? So you have, you're trying to find the cause of boiling water, and you have a presumed cause of, let's say you're going to try a few things, see which one works. You're going to try acid, because it's real and you can vary it. You're going to try heat, because it's real and you can vary it. And you're going to presuppose that unicorn farts are causing it, because they're real and you can vary them? Which one's the unreasonable one in that list?
Unicorns.
Right. So gravity being something real and variable and manipulatable, or something that's just being presupposed as the independent variable in this instance, i.e. begging the question?
Yeah, he just answered my question, and you did as well, because I thought that he said that it can't be something presumed, but you just answered it by saying that it has to be something real and it has to be something that you can manipulate.
So yeah, when you say has to be presumed, it's just maybe an error in comprehension on yours and many other people's parts. It is your presumed cause. It being something real that you can physically manipulate, as opposed to my presupposition that unicorn farts are real. So it, the thing that's real and you think causes the effect, is going to be varied and manipulated to check if it does cause the effect. Because it, the real thing you're varying and manipulating, is a presumed cause of the effect. It's not that something that isn't real you'll presume is real and then call it an independent variable. No, it's got to be varied and manipulated by you, the researcher. So it has to be real.
And it was what he was attempting to prove, making it a classic begging the question fallacy. Before you close out, I would just like to, I don't want us, lest we forget, there is a request. Oh, God. Okay. There is a request on the table for an astronomer, and we've branched out a little bit. We've gone to this twisted little sisters, cosmology and astrophysics too. So we need an astronomer or an astrophysicist or a cosmologist to provide us one hypothesis in the entire history of either discipline. One viable scientific hypothesis. Thanks.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, then this is where we bid you farewell. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com though, and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream on the Nathan Oakley channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
I was going to demonstrate something with this little setup I've got. I've got the temperature about 18 degrees Celsius, and I've got the atmospheric pressure probably close to what we are breathing. And one of the arguments I've been doing to the globers is show me that there's not that much stuff up there, you know, because that's what a vacuum is, and all they always keep saying is the barometric pressure. But if I take this little cold thing and drop it down, watch what happens to the temperature or the pressure. It starts to drop. Or yeah, you see that the atmospheric pressure drops. So I just created different pressure with the same amount of stuff in my container.
Cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Virus gave up arguing about gas pressure next to containers now on unicorn farts.
What? He's arguing for unicorn farts?
Yeah, because when held to task about having gas pressure without a container, he loses miserably. So now he's saying flat Earth could never beat the globe, and all we got here is Nathan's unicorn farts argument. So he still hasn't proven his statement.
Maybe people should stop listening to people like Zanuck. Because that's where he got that nonsense from, the airplane vacuum shit. That's Zanuck's bullshit. I've heard it before.
Yeah, they need to pump out a few weak-ass arguments for normies to parrot off to anybody that comes up with a weak-ass flat Earth argument.
Well, that's why they do the sleight of hand. In one breath, they'll say vacuum, and the next breath, they'll slip in differential pressure. They're not, I mean, I think the vacuum is measured in pressure, but they're not necessarily the same thing, right?
Yeah. The little sleight of hand is the straw man argument when it comes down to brass tacks here. Their straw man being, how can you have a gas pressure gradient? We're saying, how can you have gas pressure? They've just strapped gradient on the end and turned it into their question like it addresses ours. And as Quantum Eraser keeps saying, delta X still needs X. How do you have the gas pressure in the first instance? What's that you say? It needs volume to work it out? What's the volume of? The container? Yeah, that's what we would require to have gas pressure here. Not an endless void. Let's see if I can wrap my tongue around it. An endless void for the gas to disperse into. Which is what they claim.
Was it Zachary that did the differential pressure in that cylinder, in that container, or in that helium container? Was it him?
Yeah,
or am I getting that wrong?
Good times for all, Zachary Zabala, correct.
Yeah, I thought, you know, of course, this little simulator it's probably doing the heat around the whole container. It's not just on the bottom. So if I try to watch the particles, and I think it's like the whole container is supposed to be heating up, not just the bottom. But I bet you if you watch this and you could put ice at the top and heat at the bottom, the particles at the bottom would probably be more rapidly moving, and the ones at the top would be slowly moving. And the thought I have is, remember those lava lamps back in the day? How the lava lamps create the heat causes them to rise, but as it cools, it falls back down, kind of thing. Have you seen that? It's because the molecules are slowing down. I wonder if it's something like that as well, but could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. And I'm not Spurs chemo, by the way, so don't think I'm going that direction. I'm not there.
Yeah, you're describing the dynamics of a lava lamp.
Well, either way, Paul. Go ahead, Chocolate.
No, I was going to ask Paul, do they have a setting where you can do all of this without a container?
Exactly. It's still contained. Exactly. It's still even that's still under pressure, so to speak. Yeah, exactly.
No, but what I mean is there a setting that you can change? Because you got all these things you can change. Is there one that you can change where there's just no container and the gas is still there?
No,
right?
Yeah.
That's weird, though, right? Because we're told that's a thing. It's a little weird, right? You would think that you should be able to just click to that option and say, oh, look, this is how the world works because this is what we're told, but it's not. Apparently, they need this box, right? Cool.
Yep, exactly.
Hello, can you guys
just wondering,
Hello.
Just using my simple thoughts to wonder. Thank you.
Go ahead, the guy in Discord that's been waiting forever. You've been waiting for an eternity, and I said I'd get back to you, and I forgot. Sorry. Guy that was chatting yesterday. Tactic, go ahead, my friend.
Okay, all right. So, after the conversation that I had with you guys yesterday, I have to admit it was very galvanizing to me. So as a result, I kind of delved into like the flat earth thing. I was doing some research last night, right? And you know, there's a few things that came to me because just based off of the little schooling that y'all gave me, you was talking about like the outer layer. We were talking about the outer layer of the atmosphere and how it's impossible to have a vacuum next to it, which it made a lot of sense to me, right? Now, what I wanted to ask you guys, when it comes down to the moon itself, right? It seems as though it doesn't correlate. So, like, do you guys believe that we went to the moon, or do you think that we haven't been to the moon, or what do you guys stand on that?
Anybody else? Anybody, or can I? Okay,
go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah.
So the claim moon landing, the journey itself to the moon, regardless of what the moon is or what it was claimed to be by them, the journey took place in the medium that we made clear yesterday, can't exist. So they're claiming to travel through a vacuum to the moon. So because the medium is fake, their journey is immediately also fake. Likewise, if I start detailing my little story about Aslan in Narnia, and you know already that Narnia's not real, then you don't need to unpick the journey through Narnia because Narnia's not real. Likewise, the second law of thermodynamics violation, that is the sky vacuum in the heliocentric model, is not real. Therefore, their claim to be journey through that fake medium is also not real. So no, they definitely didn't travel through a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum to travel to that light in the sky. Definitely not.
Oh. This whole thing like NASA and the rockets and everything that has been taking flight, where has it been going then?
Don't know. Question. Probably into the sea. I'd a guess. They launch them up, they go in what looks like a big arc, probably crash them into the ocean. I'd a guess. I don't know though.
Oh man, I must admit, man, this is a bit perplexing to me, bro. Like, no, it does make sense. Like what you guys told me yesterday, it makes plenty of sense. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a lot that's on the table that has to be factored in, you know, before you would consider, you know, everything to be true on the flat Earth side.
Doesn't stop.
So I guess.
Sorry, go on. I was just going to say, it doesn't stop there. This is really going to blow your mind. Ninjas, they're also fake.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You said ninjas?
Yeah, they're also fake. Mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's a lot. So, all right. So let me ask you this. Basically, what this would mean, like, if all of this is true, what you guys are saying is true, that would mean that the whole NASA thing, all of that is like the money that they're taking, the tax money, and you know, just all of this cash flow that they are taking and spending on these rockets, it's all just a waste, pretty much, is what you're saying, right?
Well, it gets worse than that. Your money's pretty much meaningless also. The money itself, inconsequential and meaningless to the people who you're claiming are now robbing the money. They can just print more. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah. Well, just name one thing that NASA has done good for humanity. Like, actually help for humanity.
Velcro. Really good
CGI.
optics.
Well, CGI.
I mean, you know, when you look at the futuristic, like the things that they have planned, you know, they talk about just us moving over to another planet, specifically Mars. They talk about us just having a habitat out there, making it livable and stuff like that. Because I used to watch like the Mars One mission. Well, it didn't really come to pass, but they talked about a mission called the Mars One mission, and that was the original mission where we were supposed to step foot on Mars. But there was a pushback. I think it had something to do with the funding. They didn't have proper funding for that, and the technology wasn't quite there. But you know, there are pictures of Mars and everything. Like we have like the Curiosity out there, the robot that takes pictures, and they do they take samples and they do like experiments and stuff like that with the samples that they take. You guys familiar with that?
Sorry, yeah. Where's out there again? Would it be in a second law of thermodynamics violation known as a sky vacuum? I'm pretty sure that's where you mean by out there, right?
Yeah, I see where you're getting at, man.
So what do you reckon? Do you reckon a little flying piece of glass and metal with a gold disc is flying out in a second law of thermodynamics violation, waiting for an alien to find the recordings from Sagan or whoever the hell's on that gold disc?
Oh man. Well, I tell you what, like what I'll do, man, I'm gonna have to do more research into this because it is a bit intriguing. At first I heard about it a while back and I thought that it sounded crazy, but when you actually analyze everything, and you kind of do away with your biased mindset and you analyze it, it makes sense. But like I was saying before, there are a lot of other factors that you have to consider, like just with the curiosity. I don't know, like if they faked it, they did a pretty good job with that, like with the pictures and stuff.
Pictures?
Not,
like on TV,
I would say it's not a lot,
like of Superman and
it's not a
stuff.
lot of other factors.
They don't have any photographs. There are no photographs. Be careful of the language that you use because they have no photographs of that. Actual photographs, right? You have to define that. Number two, with your research.
Hold on a second, John. Hold on, Tactic. Can you just pop yourself on mute? You're causing quite a lot of feedback when other people are talking.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, John.
All right. Number two, if you go to the info box on Nathan's videos or my videos, you'll come across Science vs. Pseudoscience, Flat Earth Proof Live. I would start my research right there.
I just want
Okay, where can I find it? At the bottom of the video that you guys posted today?
Are you?
Yeah,
Are you in
under any of
Discord?
the live streams. Yes, correct. I just want to round this out though, QE. So you've been given the single best demolition of the claim to be heliocentric world. Sphere Earth is debunked first and foremost by this statement. You can't have gas pressure without a container. The assertion that the sky is a vacuum is false. Any claim that comes from an institution like NASA that claims to be taking part in activities in that thermodynamic violation known as a sky vacuum are instantaneously deemable as bunk. So you can debunk any claim from NASA, RASA, whoever the hell they are, claim to be in sky vacuum by pointing out that we wouldn't have any gas pressure if the sky was a vacuum. Most, if not all, of their assertions come from a place you will never go. Now, I'm going to give you where this argument really originated from in terms of the visual representation that you described with the photographs. So shout out to Math Powerland. You will never, ever experience that point of view. So while they show you on TV what these things look like what Earth looks like looking back with Saturn in the foreground, you will never experience that point of view because you'll never reach the heavens, what they call the sky vacuum. Only they, the wizards in the funny suits, get to go to the sky vacuum. Only they get to go to Narnia. You will never get to see the Earth as a sphere looking back from the sky vacuum. You won't because you can't. There isn't a sky vacuum and they don't go there themselves. It's just a lie. But the way to debunk the lie is with natural law. In this case, gas law. You can't have gas pressure unless it's got something to press on. And in their world of a sphere Earth, there's nothing for the gas to press on. Just an endless void for the gas to fill. And it doesn't because special pleading, circular reasoning, logical fallacy. But my sky vacuum, that's what we get. No actual demonstrations that you could defy gas law. You can't. Wouldn't be a law.
What's his name, please?
Tactic. Just call him Tactic.
Now, is he in Discord?
He is.
Tactic?
Yeah, I'm in Discord.
With a T?
Yeah, like tactics.
I don't see him.
Definitely in there.
That's his abbreviated name. It starts with something else.
I remember him saying
the full,
Prince Tactic.
Full name is Prince Tactic.
There you go, Prince tactic.
That's kind of more helpful. I'll PM you with that video.
Can I ask
I appreciate
Tactic a question?
I would have thought so.
Hey, Tactic, can you hear me?
I didn't hear you. You kind of went out. Well, it was another guy
How about
talking
now?
to me.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I got a question to ask you. What'd you make of Elon Musk's car, the Tesla car, going into so-called space? What'd you make of that when they showed that on the telly, as they say?
Yeah. Well, I didn't think too much of it. I thought it looked pretty cool. You're talking about when Elon Musk launched the Tesla out there?
Yeah, the Roadster, the red car.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool or whatever,
You remember what he said? Do you remember what he said when he saw it and he was commenting on it? Do you remember his exact words?
No, I can't say that I do.
Here, let me remind you. It looks so fake, it has to be real.
Other way around.
Let me correct you. It's actually, you could tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Dang it, I didn't want to be discovered as a dyslexic.
It's all good, bro. Yeah, that was the first thing the guy said after putting the thing in supposed space. Right? It just looks so incredibly ridiculous. And then says, oh, I'm sorry, bro, go ahead.
No, I was asking Elon Musk said that, or was that someone else?
That was Elon Musk.
No, Elon Musk. The first interview he had right after sending this thing into supposed space, he sits down and says it looks so ridiculous, and then after that says, well, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Him, the very guy who just put it up there. You
got to be kidding me, bro.
But I wouldn't start there. I wouldn't start there. Yeah, to us it's overtly obvious that Starman and the Tesla in space is fake. But maybe to your average Joe who's not giving it much thought, like you've just pointed out, you don't give it much thought. Yeah, that looks cool. And then you get on with your day, right? I wouldn't start there if you're going to try and pick apart fakery. Start with the moon landings. It's got a backdrop. It's really obvious. If you know anything about cinematography, just look at the backdrop in the moon landing footage. It's really obvious that it's on a set.
With the moon landings, I'll give you two suggestions, right? Have you ever heard of a guy named Bart Sibrel? Hello, Tactic?
Yeah, I guess you had went out. You said with the moon landings and then it went silent.
He's recommending.
Have you ever?
Go ahead.
You ever heard of a guy named Bart Sibrel, Tactic?
Bart Sibrel? No, I haven't.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to get into the moon landing shit, and keep in mind, this is not even a flat earther. This is somebody who actually still believes that, we live on a ball. But this guy, single-handedly, for me, one of the guys that single-handedly destroyed the moon landings. Right? He's got 2 movies out, and it's on his YouTube channel. One of them is called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. Right? And the second one is called Astronauts Gone Wild. Now, I know it sounds silly, but when you watch these 2 movies, it's going to really put some shit into your head about the moon landings. It's going to make you think, because you're going to watch the astronauts flipping back and forth with their stories, no cohesiveness. Trust me, it's a good watch. So, funny thing happened on the way to the moon, and the astronauts gone wild.
Speaking of a funny thing happened on the way to the moon, about 4 years ago, I did a video log about a BT, British Telecom advert that had Willem Dafoe as the star, and he's on a spaceship, and he's filming with Earth in the background looking as realistic as it does in Tesla footage, that Tesla footage we were talking about. And during the seemingly cinematic advert, and he's doing his delivery with all the lighting and the strings in the background, you hear the director go, "Cut!" And then someone says, you can see an arm in the shot. And literally between Willem Dafoe and the CGI backdrop of Earth, there's a guy holding a torch like it's in between the window and ruining the shot. Exactly how Bart Sabrell highlights on that reel that was sent to him. So they're taking the piss on the BT advert, basically recreating that scene from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon to advertise their broadband telecom services. It was comical. I've got it as a video log. I'll dig it out. I'll put it in the info box if I'm watching this on the Uncut and After show with the audience. But I'll stick a link to my video log with that BT advert with Willem Dafoe. But like I say, it's just a carbon copy of the mistake that is A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon.
Can I finish my thought with tactic?
Yeah, sorry.
So okay, so those videos, is it possible? I know what was your guy name? The guy that just spoke?
That was Chocolate.
Chocolate.
No, you, the one that just said that was Chocolate.
Oh, that's me, Nathan.
I'm sorry, you went out.
Nathan.
Yeah, I think I have a really bad signal. I'm actually I'm on my phone right now and I'm talking.
We get it a lot. Don't worry.
What you guys say, I can't hear.
It's not your phone.
Yeah. His name's Nathan. Did you get the private message that I sent you?
Let me see. Give me a second here. You sent it in Discord?
I did.
Yep. I got it right here. But yeah,
Okay.
I had a question for Nathan. I know he said that video he was talking about, he was going to post it in the description. What description is he going to post it in?
So, yeah, that might be confusing. So this is being recorded, and the audience that's listening to this now has typically got me with them listening to the recording because I like my own show. I'm not embarrassed to admit it. I like my show. What can I say? So I'll watch it. And when I'm watching it, I'll be posting it like literally right now. Although now isn't now. My flux capacitor isn't quite powered up and it's not quite the future yet. But in the future, I'll be posting my link to my video log about that BT advert.
Check that out.
Oh,
and then I would like to check out the ones
hold
that
on.
Chocolate
Hey,
was
Nathan. Hold on. Hey, Nathan, when you get that video, when you dig it out, just send it to me and then I'll PM him with it. I don't think he understands the whole YouTube scene yet.
That's okay.
Yeah, just send it to me and I'll PM him.
No problem. I can't dig it out this second.
And Nathan, can you share my screen? And I dropped this link in the chat. This is a picture of the lunar lander as it's on its ascent back to the supposedly capsule. Do you guys see any problem with this picture in a vacuum? Anybody can point anything out?
I think it looks perfectly sealed, and the cardboard looks like it would survive anything. As does the curtain rods. It looks sweet to me.
It's like cloth.
Yeah, I was talking to Zanuck yesterday, and I asked him, I said, "You're a pilot, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "How many rivets do they put on the outside, on the exterior of aircraft?" He said, "Thousands." I go, "Really?" And I go, "Why didn't they? I mean, have you ever seen the lunar lander and look at the rivets they put on the outside of it?" And of course, the cognitive dissonance kicked in immediately because he said, "Well, they don't need the stresses on the thing, isn't that much, and da 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 da, yada yada yada." But this damage was caused by the thrust, as from the ground.
The thrust that didn't kick up any dust, though, right? The astronauts running around, the lunar rover driving around, all kicking up dust. But this thing is supposed to land with a rocket engine. Nah, no dust.
and their interior environment was not compromised from this at all.
It was. I'm glad you said that. I can't remember whose video it was. I'm sorry. But a recent video I watched that you could easily go and verify for yourself just by looking at the takeoff from the moon. There's several incarnations. They're clearly just the same shot being reused when they've done different takes of this little whatever model being yanked up on a piece of string. Anyway, in one of them, the pyrotechnic blows out quite a considerable piece of fuselage from the craft just before it takes off. I know it's just a model, but you know, if you were watching that and you didn't know it was a model and you weren't just chuckling about how awful it was, you'd literally be contemplating the fact that a piece of the fuselage has just been blown off by the takeoff procedure. It's just there. Go and watch it. Honestly, well, I couldn't tell you which one, but one of them literally blows out part of the fuselage and takes off. Couldn't make it up.
It's funny.
Go ahead, Chocolate. I'll tell you my thing.
I was going to say, because Paul brought that up to them yesterday, and he asked him, would that not, you know, make the structural integrity of the ship, you know, would that not sabotage that a little bit? They were like, nah, I mean, you know, it's great. You know how Zanuck is, you know. Oh, it was too funny.
Like a Lego movie. Lego movie, man. Everything is awesome.
But look, I'm not a conspiratorial at all or anything like that, just so you know. Well, maybe I am a little bit. I went to search for this video, and I just typed in damaged lunar lander panel, and I couldn't find them. I was like, wait a minute, this is funny. They used to be all over the place. And I actually did find one, and I clicked on it, but the page, when I clicked on it, it showed me this. So, okay, then I had to go to the Wayback Machine, and I found it. So I wonder if they're scrubbing the internet. I don't know. Could be me, but I'm not. I can't be a conspiratorial person. But why is that? Why can't you find it? But if you go in the Wayback Machine, you can find it.
Only take a couple of generations, right? The memory hole is fairly effective. You could scrub the moon landings out of existence in a couple of generations, wouldn't you agree?
You could, if you really tried hard enough.
I think so.
Well, before they scrub the Tesla car, can I make the point I was trying to make?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tactic, if you're listening. So they got this Tesla car up in so-called space, and we go to their own definition of the exosphere and see how hot it gets there. And one source says 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit or 2,000 degrees Celsius. So when does a dashboard, a rubber-covered steering wheel, and rubber tires, at what temperature do those things melt or smoke or degrade? And yet they got this car up there.
I would imagine it if you're talking about like just a standard dashboard or something, probably fairly low temperatures. But just assuming that they did do it, I would just assume that they had just a specialized car that had the proper materials that could handle that type of temperature.
Thank you so much. No, thank you. If you go and chase down Elon Musk, he says that was a actual car off the assembly line. Nothing was special.
Yep.
He said it was a regular car?
Yep.
It's a regular Tesla?
Regular tires, regular dashboard, regular steering wheel cover, right off the assembly line. Nothing done special to it. And yet, nothing's degrading at 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit.
Something that they say that he said, like it was on social media or something, or
no, he said it. His interview, he said it. It's just a car right off, just like the one you drive. They just ended
You're
up
killing me here, 10th man. You're really killing me.
What's that?
You're killing me. Where's this?
Sounds kind of crazy.
Sorry, where it was 37,000 degrees centigrade or whatever bullshit number. Where is that exactly again? Where is this area?
This is why I'm mocking it. It's funny.
But where is this place that we're describing that should be melting tires?
The medium that doesn't exist called the exosphere.
So which should we be arguing about? Whether or not the car is in Narnia, I mean outer space, or whether or not the tires would be melted by the snow in Narnia?
Just having some fun.
Sometimes it is good to point out the bullshit of the narrative, even if it's not the main points, because obviously we know the main points.
Wrong.
But for somebody new just getting into this, I think sometimes it helps to pick it apart, because
you're wrong.
That's what helped.
You're wrong.
Well, I mean, that's what helped me.
You're wrong.
Get to the point that I'm at.
You're wrong. Do you want to know why?
All right.
The whole purpose of these bullshit, very obvious fakes is to get you to argue within the fallacy. So not argue about whether or not space is real, automatically assume that space is real, and argue about what the effects of this not actual medium might or might not do to tires. No.
But that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, but,
I'm arguing. Hang on. I'm arguing that space is not real by the BS that Chocolate pointed out, because they're saying it's real. I'm saying it's not real. And a person like Tactic would say, well, you're just a farmer. What do you know? This is NASA, and they got all this $53 million a day stuff behind them. Why should I believe you? And I go, well, very simple. Use your common sense. If it was real, get it? If it was real, wouldn't it?
So what you're saying is your justification is to say, look, this is how I beg the question. If space was real, that's where I'm going to position my argument. That's my point. You're starting.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not real.
Nearly there. To argue this position, you must beg their question for them. That's my point. You're not going to get around it. That's why it's engineered in the way it's engineered. Get you to argue about the fallacy, not about whether or not space is real, just what the fallacy would do if it were real. If space was real, it would melt the tyres. Well, we're starting from a position about whether or not we'd argue whether or not tyres would have an effect in a medium that doesn't exist. I'm just saying, no point. All you're doing is leaving the arguer in the impression that space, because we're automatically assuming it, whether or not it might or might not do something, rather than just killing the argument stone dead immediately and going, space is fake, here's why. What's that you say? It's this temperature there? Why is there? Fake medium? And every single argument that ever comes up in this regard, that's the conclusion I'm going to come to at the end of it. We don't need to beg the question for them. Just kill space in one blow. Then you don't need to argue about whether or not rockets could push off a vacuum. So what we're automatically assuming space is a vacuum, the sky is a vacuum, and we're going to argue about whether or not rockets can push off that vacuum. No. That's begging the question for them and arguing within their fallacy about whether or not rockets would work in their fake medium. Just debunk Narnia from the outset. Who cares whether or not rockets would work in a fake medium? The medium's fake. Let's not argue about whether or not the footsteps in Narnia would melt quickly. It's Narnia. Who cares?
You're going to trigger 10th. You're going to trigger 10th man.
No. 10th's not triggered. I'm arguing space is. I'm arguing space is not real.
Oh, just for information purposes only, I dropped the video of where Elon said that. It's in the Discord live stream.
See, the average guy knows. Hang on, I got a cough. The average guy knows that at 3,600 degrees, rubber's going to melt. There's no doubt he ain't going to argue that with me. So I'm going to say space is not real. Well, why? Because the rubber's not melting.
What do you mean the rubber's
not
not melting?
It's in the Hollywood studio. It's in the Hollywood studio. That's why it's not melting. There is no space. That's my point. There is no space.
Okay. I'll let you have it. It's easier.
No, I'm serious. I've had this argument live with people where they just say, what do you know? You're not a scientist. I said, well, let's go on something we both agree on. At what temperature will rubber melt? Okay, so space is not real.
Okay. No.
I see.
Hold on, Chocolate. Hold on.
Complete.
I just got to address that. So no, you're proving that the Tesla's not in space, aren't you?
Correct.
Well,
because space is not real.
So you're saying that by proving the Tesla's not in space, it can't be because the tires would melt. You feel that that's debunked space? Wrong.
No. My first argument with them is what you say. It's a medium that doesn't exist. When there's a a hang up or we're stuck, then I go to this and prove space is not real. Because they would say, you're right. It can't be real because it would melt. Duh.
Yes, and that's where you use their story, their narrative to just completely take it apart. And sometimes, and I understand if we were, you know, going back and forth with this guy and arguing with him, I get that. If we're debating it, yeah. But he's just learning this stuff. So in some ways, it is good to pick it apart. Now, Nathan, you know I completely agree that space is second law of thermodynamics violation. That's not happening. So we don't need to play in Narnia. I get it. But for somebody that's new, because like for me, and this is a personal experience, but for me, a lot of how I got to this point was paying attention to the doublespeak that I got from, you know, places like NASA and people like Elon Musk. You know, that's how I got to this point, because I pay attention to people's words. And when I hear, you know, let's just say, for instance, one astronaut saying, I saw stars, and another one says I don't, then I have to question it. You know, now I'm at the point where, yeah, well, space is obviously not real. So nobody saw stars from up there because they weren't up there. But when you're just getting into this, it's good to kind of pick it apart in some ways, just to get different aspects and to see where the nonsense is coming from. Because at some point you'll get to a level where you can just hear the nonsense. You don't even got to think about it too tough. That's the only thing I think me and 10th Man are trying to say.
Well, let me also say this. Why do we show that phony cardboard lunar lander? Why even show that then?
So we can point out that it's in a fake medium.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So we can point out rubber should melt, but it doesn't. So it's a fake medium.
Speaking of which, Paul, can you bring up that tweaker shelter again?
Yeah, give me a second. Hang on.
Tweaker
I hope. Hold on, Ken. Hold on, guys. Relax. Crying out loud.
No, you called it a tweaker shelter. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, go ahead. Tweaker shelter. And is Tactic still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just kind of absorbing it like a sponge, man.
Okay. Can you see? Are you watching this on YouTube? Oh, this isn't live, right?
Paul can share in Discord.
Yeah, share that tweaker shelter in Discord.
Yeah, give me a minute. I have to cut it out and then drop it. So hang on a second.
What I'm saying here is, well, I can preface this by saying, what is the Tor value allegedly on the moon? And
10 to the minus 17 Tor.
When I say Tor value, I'm talking about what is the pressure on the moon?
That's a good question. There is absolutely no atmosphere there, correct? It doesn't retain any atmosphere.
According to their story, there is a number, Tor value on the moon. I'll just give it to you, 10 to the minus 12.
Oh, so so it does have a higher value than space itself, then?
Yeah, interstellar space is 10 to the negative 17th. The moon isn't. We're just going by. We're just using their story now.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
The values
yeah, Narnia. According to their story, the moon is at 10 to the negative 12th Tor. Do we have the tweaker shelter up yet?
Yeah, I just dropped it in the Discord. It's in there.
Wait, let's just check. Hold on.
Quick question.
Hold on. Have you got it, Tactic? Can you see the? Let's call it what it is. Is it the LM? That's right, isn't it? Lunar module.
No, I can't see it. Where did he post it at?
Live stream chat.
You put
in
it
Discord.
on. Did he PM me?
No, it's in the live stream chat on Discord. Go ahead, Quantum Racer.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So the moon is allegedly at 10 to the minus 12th Tor. In Sandusky, Ohio, Plumbrook Station, they have a vacuum chamber at 10 to the negative 6 Tor. Okay? The walls are 8 feet of reinforced concrete. The doors are 5 million pounds each and have to be driven into place. Do I need to say anything else?
No, you tore it apart.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
That makes, I understand what you're saying, man.
That was nice.
Thank you. Have a nice day. I'll be here all week.
Perfect timing for me to round the show out. So with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream 4. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. A massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live and after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!